Greetings, wonderful viewers. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Our topic? The recent Grand Military Parade, hosted by none other than former President Trump. A spectacle meant to be a powerful celebration of the US Army's 250th birthday. But it appears that it didn't quite live up to the hype. From bad weather to discontented crowds, public response was, let's just say, less than stellar. So let's dive into the details, shall we? Picture this: a grand military parade, meant to be a powerful celebration of the US Army's 250th birthday, an event touted to be a spectacle of patriotic fervour, a testament to the strength and unity of a nation. But what unfurls is a starkly different narrative. Imagine the scene: an ominous sky, heavy with clouds, casting a gloomy pallor over the proceedings. The weather, it seems, reflecting the public sentiment. A chilling wind whips through the empty spaces where crowds should have been. The vacant seats, an uncomfortable reminder of the lack of enthusiasm for this event. And then there's the energy, an awkward, palpable tension that hangs in the air. A parade is supposed to be a celebration, a coming together of people, a manifestation of collective joy. But this felt more like a forced display, a hollow charade that lacked the heart and spirit of a true celebration. As the parade trudged on, the dissatisfaction among the attendees became evident. Families, veterans, even ardent supporters began to trickle away, their departure a silent yet potent protest. The rain may have been a factor, but it was clear that the dampened spirits were not just due to the weather. The vibe was off. It felt more like a desperate PR stunt than a patriotic moment. And perhaps the most damning indictment of the event was the public outcry. Far from being a powerful celebration, the parade was met with widespread dissatisfaction. The sentiment echoed across social media, in hushed conversations, and most importantly, in the empty streets and vacant seats. It was supposed to be a grand spectacle, a show of strength, a testament to the might of the military. But what it ended up being was a stark display of disconnect, a desperate attempt to salvage an image, and a glaring testament to the declining public trust. It's safe to say the event didn't exactly go as planned. While the parade was happening, a different kind of parade was marching on the streets of major cities. From the iconic avenues of New York to the bustling streets of Los Angeles, a wave of public dissent was sweeping across the nation. The protesters' banners read "No Kings," a powerful statement against the grandiose display of military might and authoritarian pageantry that was unfolding at the parade. These weren't just silent vigils or quiet marches. No, these were loud, passionate and energetic demonstrations. The air was filled with chants and cries, echoing the collective voice of a people who were dissatisfied, disillusioned and demanding change. They weren't protesting in whispers but in roars. They were sending a clear message. They didn't want this kind of display. In fact, these protests weren't just confined to the metropolises. They spread like wildfire, reaching as far as Chicago and Atlanta. Even the heart of the nation, Washington, D.C., wasn't spared from these widespread demonstrations. One could almost hear the collective heartbeat of the nation, thumping in rhythm with the protesters' chants, echoing their demand for a change in the narrative. And what was the narrative? It was a story of a country whose people were struggling to make ends meet, to keep their jobs, to afford their homes and healthcare. Yet, amidst all these struggles, they were being presented with a multi-million-dollar military show. It wasn't just a display of disconnect, but also an unimaginable extravagance in the face of so many hardships. The people on the streets were not just protesting the parade, they were protesting the vanity, the ego, and the disregard for their struggles. They were protesting the fact that while they were grappling with real-life issues, their leadership seemed more concerned with theatrics and image. In the end, the protests were more than just demonstrations. They were a testament to the spirit of the American people, their resilience and their refusal to be silenced. They were a powerful reminder that in a democracy, it's the voice of the people that truly matters. Americans were sending a strong message. They didn't want this kind of authoritarian display. Back at the parade, something else was happening. As the military spectacle unfolded, one couldn't help but sense the undercurrent of unease. Families who had come hoping for a day of patriotic celebration instead found themselves in a sea of hollow pageantry. Veterans, men and women who had once stood on the front lines for their country, looked on with a growing sense of discomfort. Even the most ardent supporters couldn't ignore the dissonance. Despite the grandeur of the parade, attendees began to trickle away, leaving long before the final salute. The rain may have played a part, but it was more than just the weather that was off. The air was heavy, not with anticipation or excitement, but with a palpable awkwardness. The pageantry of the parade seemed disjointed from the reality of the lives of everyday Americans. It was as if the parade was happening in a vacuum, separate from the concerns and struggles of the people it was meant to inspire. The sense of disconnect was impossible to ignore. Instead of a celebration of the military, the parade felt like a public relations stunt, a spectacle designed for the cameras, not for the people. The parade was intended to be a show of strength, a testament to the resilience and power of the American military. Instead, it highlighted the growing chasm between the image being projected and the reality being lived by many Americans. The parade was supposed to resonate with the people. It was supposed to be a moment of unity, a testament to our shared values. But the grand military spectacle felt out of touch, more about projecting an image than about honoring those who serve. It was clear the parade was not resonating with the people. Instead, it served as a stark reminder of the disconnect between the spectacle and the reality, between the image being projected and the lives being lived. It was a reminder that when it comes to truly honoring those who serve, actions speak louder than parades. And then there was the cost. A sum that's hard to digest. $45 million. That's the price tag of Trump's grand military parade. Now let's put that into context. Imagine the countless families who could have been fed, the homes that could have been saved from foreclosure, or the medical bills that could have been paid with such an amount. In a time when many Americans are grappling with inflation, job insecurity, and a housing crisis, this expenditure feels like a slap in the face. The parade's cost doesn't just highlight a financial wastage, it underlines a stark disconnect between the government and the people it serves. While the majority of Americans are struggling to make ends meet, a multi-million-dollar spectacle is thrown, not for the benefit of the people, but seemingly for the ego of one man. It begs the question, where do the priorities of our leaders lie? Let's not forget the healthcare crisis. The pandemic has revealed the deep-seated issues within our healthcare system. Millions of Americans are still without health insurance, and yet the government can find millions to spend on a parade. Additionally, consider the veterans, the very people this parade was supposed to honor. Many of them struggle with healthcare costs, housing, and job security upon their return from service. Could this money not have been better spent supporting them directly, rather than on a spectacle that many found distasteful? The economic struggles of Americans are real and pressing, yet the government's actions seem to reflect a different reality, one of extravagance and showmanship. This parade wasn't just expensive, it was costly in terms of public trust and goodwill. It demonstrated a leadership more interested in grand gestures than in addressing the real issues that its citizens face daily. The parade seemed to be more about vanity than about honoring the military. The real cost? It's not just the $45 million, it's the clear message it sends to the American people. Their struggles are secondary to political theatrics. In the end, what was this parade really about? As we've explored, the grand military display intended to celebrate the US Army's 250th birthday became a spectacle of public dissatisfaction. The event, marred by bad weather, sparse crowds, and awkward energy, seemed to miss its mark entirely. We've seen how the public's perception of the event was far from positive. Protests erupted across the nation under the unifying banner of "No Kings," a clear message against authoritarian pageantry. The sentiment was echoed by those in attendance at the parade itself, with many leaving early, feeling the event was more of a desperate PR stunt than a sincere celebration. We've also discussed the real cost of this spectacle. Beyond the multi-million-dollar price tag, it was a stark reminder of the disconnect between the leadership and the public. While many Americans grapple with economic instability, the display of extravagance felt like a slap in the face, a clear indicator of misplaced priorities. Finally, we've heard from the veterans, the very people this event was supposed to honor. Their voices echoed the public sentiment, calling the event gross and more theater than leadership. Their words underscore the profound disconnect between the parade's intent and its reception. It seems the parade, meant to show strength, only highlighted disconnect desperation, and declining public trust. As we move forward, we must ask ourselves, what kind of leadership do we want? What kind of nation do we want to be?